All right, let's peel back the layers on something genuinely unsettling. Your inbox. You might just see it as, a stream of casual messages, maybe some work stuff.
Yeah.
But as digital threats evolve at, lightning speed, it's quietly become the most dangerous front line. In a silent, sophisticated cyber war, we're talking about a battlefield you open up every single day.
And today, we're diving deep into the trenches of that war. Our source material for this deep dive is the State of Email Security in 2025 Annual Report. This isn't just theory, it's a robust research study focusing specifically on the on-the-ground cyber threat realities for firms with up to, say, 1,000 employees.
Okay.
The data comes from surveys done back in February 2025 across diverse geographies, different industries, all specifically among organizations using Microsoft 365.
Right, so very targeted.
Exactly. And our mission today is to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge, the insights from this report, helping you understand the very real threats looming in your inbox and, crucially, how organizations are fighting back.
And when we say real threats, we mean alarming realities. Organizations are facing this relentless growth in cyber threats. And it's heavily fueled by the malicious application of AI. We've all seen the headlines, right? Arab's deepfake business email compromise attack, U.S. $25.6 million loss. Staggering. Or the data breach at National Public Data, compromising 3 billion records. And Metasecure's breach affecting 13 million people in Australia.
Huge numbers.
Huge. Now, while these are large-scale examples, the report, as you said, focuses on smaller firms, where incidents, maybe less severe in overall scope, still cause significant, devastating fallout for individual businesses.
They absolutely do. The survey data is sobering, and here's where it gets truly eye-opening. A stretching 79% of surveyed organizations experience at least one cybersecurity incident in the previous 12 months.
79%, wow.
Yeah, and it's not just one-offs. Half of these organizations experience between 2 and 4 different types of incidents.
2 to 4 different types.
Correct. And for managed service providers, MSPs, the rate was even higher. 90% reported customers who had been compromised.
79% is almost universal then.
Yeah.
It means if your organization hasn't faced an incident, well, you're an outlier. Or maybe just haven't discovered it yet. And the fact that half saw multiple types of incidents, that suggests it isn't about patching one single hole, right? It sounds more like a systemic vulnerability, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. It's a clear signal that the single threat defense model is dead. Organizations are facing a multi-pronged assault. It requires multi-layered defenses. The key insight here isn't just that incidents are happening, but their sheer diversity and frequency. It indicates a need for holistic security transformation, not just point solutions.
So what were those incidents? What types are we talking about?
Right. So when we looked at what exactly these incidents were, the most common type, an employee's credentials being compromised through a phishing attack.
Okay, classic phishing.
Still number one. That was followed by a breach of sensitive employee data. That's number 2. The third most common was an employee compromised by an attacker impersonating a trusted customer or business partner.
Ah, the impersonation angle.
Exactly. Then we see employee credentials compromised through a QR code phishing attack. That's 4th. And finally, in 5th place, employee credentials compromised even when protected by multi-factor authentication, MFA.
Even with MFA, that's worrying.
It is. This data paints a clearer picture of where the weak points are. And the outlook isn't much brighter, honestly. 77% of respondents expect the threat dynamics across a whole range of threat types to stay the same or even get worse over the next 12 months.
Stay the same or get worse.
Yeah. They also anticipate the intensity of threats specifically against their own organization to increase. More so than against all organizations generally. They feel like they're becoming more of a target.
So if the landscape is truly intensifying, where exactly are organizations feeling the heat the most? What are the top few threat types that companies are genuinely bracing for the next year?
Okay, the top 3 threat types expected to worsen in intensity. First, phishing. No surprise there.
Still phishing.
Still phishing. Second, the use of compromised email accounts from supply chain and/or business partners.
Ah, the supply chain vector.
Yeah. And third, and this is a significant one, attacks that use generative AI to increase the plausibility of the attack.
AI making attacks more convincing.
Right, exactly. What's also fascinating in the report is how it outlines this decision matrix for email security readiness. It basically illustrates that if organizations fail to improve their readiness, they're putting themselves in a progressively worse position as the threat landscape evolves. You fall behind fast.
So how are organizations actually investing then? How are they trying to strengthen their posture against this? Are they all doing the same thing, or are there different strategies emerging?
No, not at all the same. The report identifies 4 common patterns of investment. The most frequent, at 34%, are laggards playing catch-up.
Laggards playing catch-up. Okay.
Yeah, these are orders with high concern, a significant need for investment, and it's a high priority for them now. The second most common, at 16%, are risk-tolerant leaders.
Yeah.
They have low concern, low perceived investment needed. Essentially, they feel confident their defenses are okay,
Okay, the confident ones.
maybe overconfident, maybe not. Then we have risk-averse followers at 11%. They have high concern, high priority, but relatively low investment needed. Maybe they've done some groundwork already.
Got it.
And finally, risk-averse leaders at 10%. Despite low concern and low investment required, they still maintain a high priority. They want to stay ahead of the curve.
Interesting mix. And given all these evolving threats, what are their highest priority areas for 2025, according to this report? Where's the focus?
Okay, highest priorities for 2025, protecting against AI-enhanced attacks. Protecting against attacks that use deepfake audio or video, both clearly new and emerging threats.
Right, the AI stuff front and center.
Absolutely. And then the more enduring threats, protecting against phishing threats, protecting against account takeover threats, and preventing exfiltration of data for use in extortion.
And these priorities link back to the incidents they actually experienced.
Yeah, there's a clear alignment. For instance, phishing and account takeover directly linked to credentials being compromised, which, remember, was the most common incident type. And preventing data exfiltration aligns with those sensitive employee data breaches. It all connects.
That brings us to our deep dive into specific cybersecurity threats against email. All right, we've set the stage, this silent, sophisticated war. Now let's zoom in on the battlefronts themselves. The report zeroes in on 5 critical types of email attacks that are evolving fastest, each more cunning than the last. Let's begin with one that, despite its, well, simplicity, is causing catastrophic financial damage: business email compromise, or BEC attacks.
BEC attacks are indeed insidious. They primarily seek illicit financial gain or access to sensitive data for blackmail, extortion. This includes everything from simple gift card scams to, elaborate invoice fraud and payroll diversion.
Right.
The FBI ranks BEC as the second most costly type of attack after investment scams. Total reported losses, $2.9 billion, across only about 21,500 incidents in 1 year.
$2.9 billion from just over 20,000 incidents.
Yeah. If you do the math, that's an average of $137,132 per incident. Average loss.
Those numbers are staggering, especially for a relatively low volume of incidents. Do you have any real-world examples that really hit home the kind of damage these attacks inflict?
Absolutely. The report cites a $50 million loss.
$50 million.
Due to a BEC incident at a construction entity in New York, they focused on critical infrastructure.
$50 million. Ouch.
Yeah. Another case involved a real estate firm that paid $4.9 million to a Hong Kong bank account controlled by a threat actor. It was based on a fraudulent invoice sent from a compromised account at a trusted vendor.
Did they get it back?
In that case, yes. The $4.9 million was recovered due to quick law enforcement intervention. But many others are not so fortunate.
That's disturbing. If these BC attacks are so low volume and specifically designed to avoid traditional malicious signals, doesn't that fundamentally break most of our existing security paradigms?
Wow.
Are we essentially playing whack-a-mole with the wrong kind of mole?
You've hit on the core problem. They are, for several crucial reasons, slipping through our defenses. First, they're highly targeted, extremely low in volume, unlike mass phishing campaigns. Traditional email security defenses, they struggle to identify common patterns in just a few emails, right?
Right, not enough data points.
Exactly. Second, BEC emails rarely include weaponized links or malicious attachments. This means they often bypass traditional defenses like secure email gateways, even Microsoft 365's Exchange Online Protection, EOP. Those are designed to spot those telltale malicious signals which just aren't there. And third, if the BEC email originates from a compromised internal email account, it appears to come from a trusted colleague. Traditional defenses often lack the ability to consume login geolocation data, which would be a critical identifying signal for this type of attack, so the imposter walks right in.
And the consequences are more than just the immediate financial loss, right? What's the bigger ripple effect?
Oh, yeah. Immediate financial losses are obvious, but there are also significant reputational costs. It signals a poor security posture to your clients, your partners. Worse still, a successful BEC attack often invites additional BEC attempts from other threat actor groups because they know your organization has a weakness. You're marked as ripe for exploitation.
Like blood in the water for sharks.
Kind of. The survey found that 1 in 5 organizations working with MSPs lost money through a BAC attack in the previous 12 months. And looking ahead, 56.3% of respondents anticipate an increase in the threat level of BEC attacks against their organization in 2025. This isn't a problem that's going away.
Next up, let's talk about phishing, the ever-evolving threat. This isn't new, is it? Phishing's been around since the, 80s?
Really computer crimes, yeah.
But it's clear that threat actors are constantly up-leveling the phishing playbook. Expert, what are the most significant new malicious innovations making phishing even harder to spot now?
That's right. Recent innovations are truly alarming. We're seeing phishing toolkits available for licensing, so emerging threat actors can just buy them, requiring little to no skill.
Phishing as a service, basically.
Pretty much. There are now multi-factor authentication, MFA bypass capabilities. Criminals capture your credentials and your MFA code on a fake site, then immediately use them on the real site. They compromise accounts despite MFA.
Wow, so MFA isn't foolproof.
Not against these attacks. Then there are new forms of phishing, like QR code phishing, which we'll get to. Crucially, we're seeing the pervasive use of AI to enhance attacks, improving grammar, spelling, perfectly matching the email tone of the impersonated sender.
So the human element of spotting bad grammar or odd phrasing is almost completely neutralized now.
Precisely. It all but eliminates those traditional warning signs. And it's compounded by attackers using high-reputation email services like Gmail, Outlook.com for sending these emails.
Which you can't just block.
Right. Most organizations aren't willing to block these domains entirely. They're used by legitimate customers. Plus, threat actors are leveraging compromised email accounts from Google Workspace and Microsoft 365, making detection extremely difficult, especially when they belong to clients or suppliers.
So what does the data say about how much this is expected to grow?
The survey data shows phishing attacks have the highest anticipation of increasing threat levels over the next 12 months, 64.3%.
Nearly 2/3 expected to get worse.
Yep. And remember, credentials compromised through phishing, that was the most common incident type. 32.3% of orgs hit in the past year.
And from Titan HQ's insights, from the front lines, they noted ransomware attacks are now largely pivoting from malicious attachments to hiding the payload behind links and emails. Is that right?
That's what they're seeing.
They also observed the most popular categories of phishing attempts: invoices, payment invoice, follow-up, often with themes like urgency, confidentiality, maybe even making you feel incompetent if you don't act.
Yes, those trends highlight the social engineering aspect, preying on our natural inclination to respond to urgent requests. Now, from the hyper-sophistication of AI-powered phishing, let's shift gears to something that feels almost retro, yet is making a terrifying comeback.
Expert, how are QR codes, those seemingly harmless little squares we all embraced during COVID? How are they being weaponized by attackers? So next time I'm scanning a parking meter, I guess I should probably be more suspicious than usual, huh?
Exactly. The playground for attackers is expanding. It's about maintaining vigilance in unexpected places. Threat actors are incorporating QR codes into phishing attacks in clever ways. Sometimes it's physical, like you said, sticking a malicious QR code over an existing one on our parking meter or an ad. But more commonly, they embed them in emails. The goal here is to shift the targeted victim off their well-protected corporate device and onto a mobile device, which often has fewer security defenses.
I could get you onto the phone.
Exactly. The intent is usually to capture account credentials, just like regular phishing. And these attacks prove remarkably effective. They regularly bypass native Microsoft 365 protections and other traditional email security solutions that lacked computer vision technology.
Computer vision?
Yeah, the AI capability to see and interpret images, to identify QR codes in images and assess the associated links for malicious attributes. The survey found 1 in 5 organizations experienced at least one QR code phishing incident in the previous 12 months.
1 in 5, that's significant.
It is. And 51.6% anticipate these attacks will increase over the next year.
This brings us to deepfakes, the unsettling reality. These are AI tools used to create images, audio, videos that trick victims into believing they're real. We briefly mentioned the Erupt Hong Kong incident, that $25.6 million loss, which was a vivid example of a deepfake multi-party video conference leading to fraud. There have been other reported cases too, right? Large businesses in the UK targeted using WhatsApp cloned CEO voices.
Yes, for urgent secret transactions.
Exactly. Expert, how prevalent are these attacks becoming? Is this widespread yet?
It is still early days for deepfake attacks, relatively speaking, but their early success is worrying. 1 in 9 respondents, or 11%, experienced at least one incident in the previous 12 months, where a successful attack used deepfake techniques.
11% already.
Yeah. This early success will only embolden threat actors to experiment further. Looking ahead, 59.1% of respondents anticipate an increase in the threat level of deepfake attacks over the next 12 months.
That's a significant concern, especially given how incredibly convincing these can be. What are the challenges in detecting them, both for us humans and for our security systems?
Well, there's a bit of a confidence gap. While 69% of respondents are highly confident their employees can detect deepfake attacks, and 70% are confident in their security stack. Nearly 1 in 3 are not highly confident in either.
So roughly 30% are worried.
Exactly. It indicates significant work needs to be done for both human and technical protections. Confidence levels are lowest for detecting video deepfakes, which makes sense. They can be very sophisticated, and even if detected, the financial and reputational damage could be extremely high before the attack is stopped. This really highlights a critical vulnerability.
And it ties back to that impersonation theme again.
It does. Coalition, a cyber insurance company, states that 56% of its claims originate from an email inbox, made up of funds transfer fraud and business email compromise attacks. Both fundamentally rely on impersonation. Deepfakes simply take that impersonation to a terrifying new level.
Finally, let's talk about generative AI as an offensive weapon, truly hyperdriving attacks. This raises an important question about how AI influences the very nature of these cyber assaults. Expert, how is it reshaping the battlefield?
It's had the largest impact, according to the report. Offensive AI used by threat actors has dramatically impacted the sophistication, the volume, the uniqueness, and the evasiveness of the cyber attacks organizations experience.
Sophistication, volume, uniqueness, evasiveness. Wow.
Yeah. And it's not expected to get any better. 61.5% of respondents anticipate an increase in the threat level of attacks using generative AI to increase their plausibility over the next 12 months.
How exactly does it make attacks easier and more convincing?
Well, several ways. Creating phishing messages with no easy warning signals of fraud, we touched on that. It can perfectly align the tone and language with how a nominated sender would normally write. Scary realistic. And critically, it allows threat actors to create several orders of magnitude more phishing campaigns in the time it previously took to prepare just one, increasing both the volume and the speed of attacks dramatically.
So faster, better, more numerous attacks. Great. And from the trenches, Titan HQ has observed these AI-enhanced attacks firsthand, including using AI tools to translate malicious emails into native languages, making them even harder to spot globally.
That's right. They're also using generative AI themselves defensively to analyze threat intelligence and train their machine learning models to counteract these evolving threats. It truly is a high-stakes race.
It truly is.
An arms race, really.
Okay, so we've covered the problem space pretty thoroughly. The threats are real, evolving, AI-fueled. Now let's shift to the solutions. What's the counteroffensive? It sounds like it comes down to the critical intertwined roles of defensive AI and, well, us, human vigilance.
Exactly. The report highlights the immense value placed on AI in defense. A significant 47% of respondents said AI offers the greatest potential boost to email security at their organization over the next 12 months.
Almost half see AI as the biggest potential boost.
Yeah. With AI in general ranking first, and AI specifically for threat detection ranking second, even more striking, 79% of respondents say that email security solutions with defensive AI capabilities are very important or extremely important to their cybersecurity posture in 2025.
That sounds incredibly impactful, almost like a silver bullet for some of these threats.
Yeah.
But for our listeners, are there any inherent limitations or potential downsides to relying so heavily on defensive AI that the report might have highlighted?
That's a critical question. While the report focuses on the overwhelmingly positive impact and necessity of defensive AI, it implicitly acknowledges that it's part of a multi-layered strategy, right?
Yeah.
Not a standalone panacea.
Right, not a magic fix.
No. Its key benefits are clear. Real-time combat against AI-enabled attacks, detecting, analyzing, mitigating threats faster. It helps predict threats by analyzing vast amounts of threat intelligence, allowing faster adaptation without manual tuning. AI also automates incident response, which reduces human error and amplifies what cybersecurity pros can do, and it automates repetitive security tasks, improving response times, freeing up people for more strategic activities. So while it's powerful, it's about amplifying human expertise. piece, not replacing it entirely.
That makes perfect sense. You fight fire with fire, or AI with AI, I guess. Are there any other specific AI innovations making a particularly strong difference in the defense strategy?
Yes, 3 additional highly impactful AI innovations were identified. First, creating better human risk management defenses, using AI to create targeted phishing campaigns based on individual employee behavior, shifting training from generic to personalized.
Ah, personalized training. Smart.
Very. Second, speeding email incident response interventions by automating the creation of threat reports. And third, enabling a fundamentally different way of identifying threats by baselining normal communication patterns to detect deviations, anomalous activity. Crucial for sophisticated threats like BEC that evade traditional signature detection.
Baselining normal behavior. That sounds key for BEC.
It is. And the top AI strategy impact for the security stack. Using AI to create modern security awareness training and simulations for employees, rated extremely impactful by 34.1% of respondents.
So despite all the advanced tech, the human element remains paramount. Human risk management truly is your best defense, isn't it?
Absolutely. Threat-aware, security-competent people are a significant and, frankly, indispensable part of an effective cybersecurity posture. The top priorities for creating secure communication without degrading productivity are, first, having threat-aware, security-competent end users, people who can identify cyber threats anywhere, anytime, across any channel.
The human firewall.
Essentially. Second, strengthening email as a safe and secure channel, doing everything possible to stop threats reaching inboxes. And while some consider migrating communication to ultimate solutions, like Teams or Slack, it's important to note threat actors have already demonstrated they can compromise those new solutions as well.
Right, the Microsoft 365 account compromise gives access to Teams too.
Exactly. So it's not about running away from email, it's about fortifying it. And crucially, fortifying the people using it.
How are organizations bolstering that human side then? What kind of training strategies are proving most effective against these advanced threats?
Developing a strong security culture among employees is a high priority for 2025. The report indicates that 50% to 60% of respondents reported 5 security training strategies became more important recently, the highest priority. Offering security awareness training to educate employees on emerging high-risk cyber threats like deepfakes. 23.8% rated this as increasing significantly.
So training on the new stuff is key.
Absolutely. It highlights the critical need for both training to cultivate awareness and scenarios, simulations to assess that knowledge in action. For cybersecurity pros and general employees, you can't expect people to recognize something they've never seen, especially when it's designed specifically to fool them.
Makes sense. Let's bring it all together now. How are organizations strategically building a robust email security fortification? What's the overarching strategy here?
Okay, the report makes it clear that 93% of respondents recognize that email presents an area of ever-changing threat. It requires constant vigilance and up-to-date solutions.
93% get it. Good.
Yeah. This leads to a critical multi-level or defense-in-depth approach. And here's a truly surprising statistic, I think. While 89% of respondents assert that Microsoft 365's native basic capabilities, like Exchange Online Protection, EOP, offers sufficient protection.
89% think EOP is enough.
That's what they say. But a striking 98% of organizations using EOP still indicate that leveraging third-party complementary advanced solutions is highly important for protecting against phishing, BEC, and other advanced email threats in 2025.
That's a huge disconnect, isn't it? If nearly 90% believe EOP is sufficient, why do virtually all of them still feel they need third-party solutions? What's the fundamental reason for that gap?
The fundamental reason seems to be that Microsoft 365's native security is often perceived as slower to detect emerging and dangerous attack types. We're talking about things like QR code attacks, those Office 365 password reset scams, invoice fraud, fabricated email threads.
The newer, trickier stuff.
Exactly. The very types of attacks that lead to compromised credentials, account takeover, data breaches, heavy financial and reputational losses. No organization wants to be the victim of these due to, let's say, insufficient native protections. Email is just too vital a communication channel. A multi-level defensive posture is seen as critical. It's about proactive prevention, not just reactive cleanup after the fact.
And when organizations are choosing these critical email security solutions, these third-party tools, what are their absolute top priorities? Is it cost, features?
The highest rated purchase factor is effectiveness. Effectiveness against email security threats. 41.7% ranking this extremely important. This includes the ability to prove that effectiveness.
Good. Show me the results.
Basically, yes. The second highest priority is the inclusion of both technical and human risk management capabilities in the solution. Measurability ranks third. Integration options come in fourth.
What about cost?
It's interesting. While the initial upfront cost of the solution is important, rated very important by the highest percentage, it is significantly dwarfed by the primary importance of the solution's technical capability to actually stop email security threats. It's a clear message. Preventing the incident is worth the investment.
So to summarize our deep dive today, the email threat landscape is rapidly worsening, no question, especially due to AI-enabled attacks and the intensification of existing threats like phishing and BEC. It's a truly dynamic and, frankly, dangerous environment out there.
And the solution for strengthening email security protections is clearly two-pronged. It requires robust technical protections, leveraging defensive AI capabilities, combined with crucial human risk management investments, creating threat-aware, security-competent end users who can identify cyber threats anywhere, anytime, across any channel. It's about smart tech and vigilant people working together.
So as you open your next email, maybe you pause and consider this. Beyond the obvious spelling errors or Nigerian princes, what subtle AI-crafted signal might be lurking in plain sight, waiting for the perfect moment to become the next headline-making incident for an organization just like yours? Your vigilance, combined with smart technology, truly is the first and last line of defense. Stay sharp out there.